And, I have ones that they'll see me coming, so they wait at the steps to walk up the stairs with me. And it's just that start of the morning, saying good morning to each other, seeing how was your night? How's your morning going? Because sometimes, the kid gets up on the wrong side of the bed and they're coming in and you could just see by their facial expression that they're having a bad morning. So it's good to get to them like right as they're arriving. What's going on? What happened?
Yes.
Be like, oh, my sister yelled at me for crossing the street before her, or, I'm just tired. So it kind of gives me an idea of how they're going to be to start the day.
Hey families, you are in for a treat. This is a 2-part series really taking you behind the scenes of a pre-K classroom. Part 1 is going to talk about what happens upon arrival, all the skills, all the opportunities for learning that your child may be exposed to within the first hour and a half of school. Part 2 is going to talk about everything that happens after arrival. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek. You're going to learn that play and rigor can coexist within a pre-K classroom. And you're also going to learn all of the opportunities that your child will have to work in community, build relationships, explore learning through the lens of reading and block play. I can't wait to jump into this episode. I'm joined here today with Mrs. Gregor. Can you please introduce yourself?
I am currently teaching at Carver Elementary. When I went to school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
My oldest sister was a teacher in Chicago, 20-year age difference between us. So she would always bring me into school with her at the end of the year and, expose me to what it was in a classroom. And when I went to college, it was just a little bit of, testing things out. And I'm like, you know what? I really like interacting with kids and working with kids. And I decided that this is where I was going to go. And my sister was like, you know what? There's so many great things about Carver. I really think you should look at going to Carver and working with the preschool program. And in my over 20 years here, I've been in preschool, kindergarten, and have worked with both age groups.
That is exciting. And one of the things I want to share that you touched on is a little bit around the district's recruitment strategy. So your sister didn't know all those many years ago that she was the blueprint for what we're doing. We're exposing students to teaching earlier through our Teach Chicago Tomorrow program. And so, middle school students, high school students get an opportunity to see what it's like firsthand. One of the things that I'm excited to share is my daughter. She's at Lindblom. Okay. And she was an LTA, which is a Lindblom teacher assistant. And so she had an opportunity to do similar. And she TA'd for middle school because, they're academic centers. So she's in high school, but she TA'd for the middle school.
Okay.
But, through that experience, she's thinking now about teaching like math. She loves STEM and engineering and math and all of that good stuff. But she's thinking like, how can she give back once she gets into her career? But it's that bug, right? It's like that exposure that starts the next group of teachers for being interested. So thank you to your sister for bringing you to us. And let's start by talking about when students first come, because I know parents are scared when they're bringing their child to pre-K for the first time. I know they're nervous. I hear a lot from, particularly my 3-year-old families, like, they're too little, the schools are so big, right? So talk a little bit about what happens when they first walk through that door, like that very first day of school. Because, we're getting ready to launch our application soon. And so I want to make sure that families know firsthand what the experience is like here in the district.
Right. And it is always, I think, more nerve-wracking for the parents at the beginning of the year coming into school. I've had parents come in and their kids crying. It's like, oh no, they're not ready. It's like, no, they're okay.
ready.
They're okay. is leave them with us. We're going to take care of them. We're going to love on your babies like you would love on your baby. We're going to make sure that they're going to be okay and they're going to thrive in our classroom, and they're going to learn how to get along with each other, and they're going to learn how to, in a couple of weeks, they're going to be saying bye. Or they may not even be saying bye. They may be running into the classroom.
Walking in the classroom. But I think you're hitting on a good point, right? So the first thing, before we even get to the student, right, it's about making that connection with the family, making that family feel safe and secure with where they're leaving their baby and who they're leaving their baby with. So I'm sure there's some orientation that happens so they can get a feel of what that day looks like. So before you jump in, I know that you have orientation here.
Yes,
for families.
Open house and bring families in.
Great.
So they can see the classroom, meet me, because sometimes they're coming in. If you're not giving that chance, you're bringing your child to a stranger.
A stranger, right.
And you haven't had a chance to meet them.
Yeah.
So it's come in, meet me with your child there. See what the classroom looks like. Ask any of your questions. Find out, what does the day look like? What are we going to do if this happens or that happens? I like to share my information with them. I had a parent yesterday calling me about her child. She's upset because of this, and we talked about it, and she was like, "Oh, that makes sense. Okay."
So you're establishing that connection prior to school.
Yes,
that's amazing.
And I try to give them, if you have a question, call me. I go, there's sometimes things happen. I go, your kid sometimes doesn't want to tell me that they have to go to the bathroom and they might have an accident. It's okay. It happens.
So you're building that trust with the family to tell you a little bit about their child. So one, you get a little bit of insight, they get to know you, and they get exposed to the space.
Yes.
Perfect. So now we're coming into day one.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about what happens day one.
All right. Oh, day one is a lot of fun with the kids coming in. A lot of them, it's their first time away from their parents, coming in. But I try to welcome them, introduce myself, getting down on their level, so that they can start building that relationship. We work on learning from who the other kids are, and some of them know each other because they were in preschool the year before. Some of them know each other because they live on the same block, and it's like, oh, I know you, or their siblings are friends. Yeah. So they get, we work on that social emotional to start with at the beginning of the year of, what's your expectations coming in, but also how do you get along with all these other kids that some of them you may know, but a lot of them you don't know. Yes. And it's just that building that social skills and learning. A lot of it is like, well, he hit me. It's like, no, he turned and bumped into you, and getting them to understand that difference of the vocabulary, and that they weren't trying to hurt you. They weren't watching where they were going. They bumped into you. And so that's one of the skills we work on is, if you bump into someone and say, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Are you okay? Right. Because what you're starting to get into is building that sense of community. Right. Yes. So we respect each other in this space, and we all belong in this space, and we all have roles in this space, right? Yes. This is our space, and these are all our friends. And when you start using those words, friends, this is our classroom, you're building this sense of belonging in them, which is so important at a preschool level, at any level. My daughter needs to know that she belongs in high school. Yes. Building this sense of, you started with the family, building this sense of trust. Now you bringing it into the classroom, building this sense of community. Talk me through what arrival looks like. Some of the kids, I'll meet them outside as I'm coming in the morning, and they're coming in, and I'll say good morning to them, their parent, their sibling that's bringing them. And, I have ones that they'll see me coming, so they wait at the steps to walk up the stairs with me. And it's just that start of the morning, saying good morning to each other, seeing how was your night? How's your morning going? Because sometimes, the kid gets up on the wrong side of the bed and they're coming in, and you could just see by their facial expression that they're having a bad morning. So it's good to get to them right as they're arriving. What's going on? What happened? Yes. Be like, oh, my sister yelled at me for crossing the street before her, or, I'm just tired. So it kind of gives me an idea of how they're going to be to start the day, getting them. And yeah, I understand you're tired. We're going to work on this and we can get a little rest. And, I understand, or you're upset. Well, let's talk through. Why are you upset? Okay, what can we have done? What can you have said? How can we have helped that situation and helped you so that you have a good morning coming in with, any issues?
You're making me think so much right now, because even though you're saying we're walking in, we're meeting, we're doing a check-in, which is what you just described, like how you're feeling, right? Because there's a lot of things happening in the city and a lot of children are exposed to a lot of things. So it's always good to do that check-in the morning so you get a sense of how they're feeling and what they may need, in order to make it through the day. But and there's a lot of other things, right? Because they're coming in, they're putting their stuff off, they're taking the coats off and all of that good stuff. They're identifying, either what they want to look at, I'm sure when they come in, like, what's your morning activity?
So they come in, they go to breakfast, and then they come and they hang their coat up.
Yes.
They're learning the routine. They hang their coat and they're
That's what I was getting to. What's the learning? Tell me all the learning, because I want families to know, because sometimes what a myth is, what families don't understand is like, oh, they're just playing. Oh, or they're just with their friends. No, but I want to stay in this just arrival and coming into the classroom. Like you can even go into like getting into your morning activity, because you said they come in, they take their stuff off, they do breakfast, and then they go to their morning activity or table toys or whatever you want to call it. Talk about the learning that's happening in all of those different activities, because there's so much, and I think people miss it.
They're learning a routine, first of all.
Yes.
They're going into their class, they know they come in, they put their coats up, they get their breakfast, they clean up after themselves. A lot of parents don't think that a three-year-old can put their stuff in a garbage can or in a sink at home, and they're able to clean up. And we have kids that they love helping each other out. They're learning to, you spilled your milk, let's go get paper towels together. They're learning to take care of each other. They're like, you forgot to throw your bag away. So they're reminding each other, communicating with each other. They're learning to interact with others. They go to their lockers. They have to find their locker. They have their name on their locker. I have the pictures on there for those that are, I have 3 and 4-year-olds. So some of them are still working on recognizing that name. So they have their picture. They find their locker. They put their things away. So they're learning to take care of their belongings. They come in the room. We sign in the morning. So each kid has their own name sheet. So they're at the table. They have to find their name. So they're working on name recognition, which is the beginning of your whole emergent reading. Because what's the most important thing? Kids come in, letters to them don't really have a meaning by themselves. But
Leslie means something to me.
But yes, your name.
Because I know who that is.
So it's like you start with your name, and then they're learning their friends' names, and like, you're sitting over here, Leslie, come over here. There's your name. I see your name. So they're helping each other out, and they're looking and they're starting with reading, because that's the first thing that's important to them, and then their friends' names.
Let me tell you, because let me see, you have dropped so many jewels in that. Tell me how long that is, right? Because I want people to, like, you named a bunch of stuff that just happened. How many minutes are we talking about?
Oh, not a lot.
I know.
Putting their stuff in their lockers. On cold days, it's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But they're not at their lockers more than 5 minutes. They come into their names. They're sitting down within a minute or two. They're finding they have to walk to the table, find their name, writing their name. Some are taking a little bit longer. Some of them, like my ones that are going to kindergarten, that have been working on their name, they come down and they within a minute have their name done and handing it in.
And moving on to breakfast.
They're working on their fine motor control, being able to hold that pencil.
Yep.
They're working on the letter formation. They're learning the letter names. They're learning the letter sounds. Okay, your name starts with Leslie. That's, that L makes it, you're making that connection between the letter name and the sound.
So all of this, guys, this is what I want my families to know. This is no more than 30 minutes, probably, right? Mm-hmm. So 2 things I want you to know, if I could take a minute and say. One thing is, students need to be in school every day, and they need to be on time. So what Mrs. Gregor just highlighted is that there's fine motor learning happening. There is letter recognition. There is social emotional development happening. There is building a sense of responsibility, creating a sense of community. All of that is happening within the first 30 minutes. All they did was come in, put their stuff away, sign in, eat breakfast. All those skills. So that's why it's important. And pre-K is the foundation. And what I need my parents to understand is when you set up poor attendance patterns in pre-K, that carries with them, not just in kindergarten, but throughout their educational journey. It's research behind that. So that's why schools are encouraging, even as young as pre-K, come to school every day and be on time. That was such a great episode. And I want to take a moment to just highlight the importance of coming to school every day and being on time. There are so many things that students are exposed to within the first 30 minutes of school. So stay tuned for part 2, where we'll be talking about all the other elements of a pre-K day. You don't want to miss it because there's so many nuggets around what children learn in pre-K.